London Canal Museum is located just along the Regent's Canal. It took 10 years to build this canal in the 19th century. It's only about 12 miles long, but it runs into a bigger canal called the Grand Union Canal, which runs up to Birmingham and further north. John, who works at the museum, tells us that the canal was built for trade, but it was also famous for taking traffic out of London.
What is very interesting about what was carried on this canal, carried all sorts of things, but what was very interesting what was carried in this canal is that the ice trade was based on this canal, with ice coming down from Norway, and the museum is an ice warehouse. So the ice was brought in by small boats and then stored in the museum, and the museum has two ice wells, one which is open and the other which is closed but has a periscope down to look at what it was like. So great big blocks of ice would be brought in from Norway, stored here, and then either used to make ice cream or are sent out to hotels, houses, great houses, and markets to keep the food fresh for such a big city as this one.
Speaking of ice cream, this was another activity you could enjoy in the museum. You can make your own ice cream upstairs with some help, of course. It doesn't take long, you just add a couple of ingredients, you mix them up, and it's ready to enjoy. So much easier than back in time when horses had to carry ice for it all the way from Norway. Originally, the boats were powered by horses, which had to carry the goods by land. But water made it so much easier for them. They were able to pour a lot more on the water than there were on the land. Today, John tells us that the canal has a different use. It is used for leisure, or people like to live alongside it.
So prestigious buildings now line the canal. People like to live on the canal, either on boats like these behind me. Again, there's a whole row of houseboats, or in beautiful flats next to the canal, so it's used as a living space. If you'd have come here 25 years ago, nobody wanted to live on the canal. It was derelict and nobody cared for it. So now it's the best place to live in London, or one of them. In fact, this is meant to be the most expensive mooring in London, where you can keep your boat. But people use it for jogging, for cycling, for walking the dog, for walking the kids.
Even though the waters of the canal are not very deep, John advises you to be careful when on board.